Good morning, CD6 vacancy members. I'm Jamie Kulikowski. I'm one of the candidates running to beat Jason Crow this fall. I will be at the meeting on June 11th. This video is a recap of the candidate Q&A we had yesterday. I wanted to record the meeting, however, I have a free Google Meet account and I discovered that the free version doesn't come with the record option. So I'm just doing an abridged version of the meeting to let everyone know how I answered the questions. First, I want to thank everyone who attended and for your thoughtful questions and engaging conversation. I think it went really well. The first question was, looking back on your assembly speech, would you have changed anything? And my answer was yes, I would have changed 3 things. My talking points on abortion, my background of service, and my journey from Democrat to Republican. So I addressed those 3 things in our meeting yesterday. With regards to abortion, after thoroughly reading Colorado's law, I find it barbaric and I will vote to have it rewritten. I prayed on this and looked at scripture about this, and I think abortion should be performed if medically necessary, and that medical necessity should come from a doctor. And the scriptures I thought of were, 1, the commandment of thou shalt not kill, but also Ecclesiastes that says there is a time to kill and a time to heal. And when we look at war, right now I support President Trump, and I support how he joined Israel and invaded Iran in February, because there was an imminent threat to American lives. And so that's a time to kill. The same thing with abortion. If there's an imminent threat to life and the doctor deems it medically necessary, then that's a time to kill. And that's the only time I will support it. And I will be vocal and stand by that stance. Regarding my life of service, I really only touched on my Army time in my speech, but I look at, even after the Army, I continued to serve. So I was an Army officer from 1999 to 2003. I left the Army because I didn't want a life of endless war. I wanted to start a family, get married, and I did. And I think parenthood is another form of service. I have a 21-year-old daughter now, but she was born in 2005, and my now ex-husband and I raised her. She's doing great. She goes to Washington State University, and she's working at an accounting internship this summer. So service as a mother, that's also how I have served. And then the last 4 years, I have been a small business owner as a massage therapist, and that is very much a profession of service. And it has shown me how much pain people are in these days with stress, tension, just muscles are locked up. We are so stressed, and people are looking for pain relief in forms of natural medicine and prescription medicine. So I've kind of come full circle with service. I started out in my 20s with war service, and I'm closing it out with peace service. And I want to go into Congress with both of those service experiences, because I feel like Congress and the government and where we are right now in politics and just the country, you got to know war and peace. And the Lord has guided me to have experience in both. So that kind of gives you a more well-rounded picture of my life of service. And then finally, my journey from Democrat to Republican. I was actually a Republican while I was in the Army, and then after leaving the Army, I became a Democrat. The messaging of Democrats is very peace-oriented, and they're quite convincing. So they lead a lot of people into their groupthink of peace, and they'll just keep leading you left until you're kind of way far out there in left field. And 2020, the Lord woke me up from being out in left field as a Democrat. And I entered the congressional race in 2019, and I challenged Jason Crow. He was the sitting incumbent, but I ran as a Democrat. When COVID hit, I started publicly supporting Trump's leadership, Kristi Noem's leadership, every Republican leader, and their choices on COVID. And that's when I switched to Republican, because I was a Democrat supporting Republicans. So in 2020, I registered as a Republican. I voted for President Trump in 2020. In my campaign, I launched lawsuits against Governor Polis to fight the unconstitutional mandates. I launched a lawsuit against Jason Crow, and those lawsuits lasted well beyond me losing my campaign. So after those lawsuits closed out, I actually registered as unaffiliated, because if any of you've ever been in legal battles, they're exhausting. So I just was politically inactive for a while and just unaffiliated. But in 2024, the Lord guided me back to get vocal about Trump. I had political discussions in all my circles, including in my business, and I lost clients, but it was a sacrifice I thought was worth taking, because we needed to get Trump in and get our country back. So I re-registered as a Republican in 2024, and I've been a Republican ever since, and I plan to stay. So that covers what I would have changed about my speech. Next question was, what 3 things will you attack Crow on? The first one I will use is his impeachment manager role, and how that 2-year period from the midterms in 2018, his role as an impeachment manager, and how it contributed to opening our country up to the war on COVID, because that is warfare 101, is divide and conquer. So that impeachment manager process into the impeachment completely divided the country, and then bam, the whole world gets attacked by COVID from China. So I will attack him on that. I will attack him as being part of the seditious 6. It blew my mind that all these military personnel were telling enlisted members, lower enlisted members, to disobey orders. I mean, that completely blew up the military's chain of command. And I also was wondering, well, Jason, did you ever disobey an order? Because privates know and specialists know that if you disobey an order, you will get in trouble. So he threatened the careers of lower enlisted, and it was also a national security threat, because that it just blew up the chain of command of the Army. And all military officers know that orders that come down, it is the officer's job to vet the orders, read the orders, thoroughly question them, and make sure that you understand them before you pass them down. So if anybody, it's not disobeying orders, but you do question them, and you push back on orders that you don't think should be given down. That's the officer's job. And the fact that the seditious 6 just completely leapt over all of the leadership in the military, I'm going to attack him on that. And then finally, he hasn't done anything in 8 years. He's been sponsor to 115 bills. They're not constitutional bills. Only 2 of them got passed. One of them was about cyber awareness, and the other one was naming a clinic in Aurora. So the bills that he has gotten passed into law are pretty pointless. So I want to attack him on that. The next question was, do you have a plan for fundraising? I'm going to be honest, this is not my wheelhouse or area of expertise, so I will be leaning on people in the Republican Party who have experience and interest in helping raise funds. What are my top 3 objectives? My first one is get this nomination on the 11th and then win the election. I want to debate Jason Crow. I want to be on the campaign trail with Jason Crow. Go to candidate forums, town halls, debates. I want to be side by side with him, because Patty mentioned at the assembly in March that people in CD6 are waking up. And they're waking up to the gift of discernment, where they can discern what's truth and what's lie. Jason Crow is living a lie. He speaks a lie. He is scripted. He's bought. And if I can be side by side with him, the people of CD6 will see that. So objective 1, get the nomination. 2, win the election. 3, keep the seat. for the long haul, like hold the seat as Republican so that we can actually get our country back, get Colorado American again, get America again, make America great again. I support the Trump administration, and so those are my 3 objectives. Next question, tell us about your family and work. How will serving in Congress impact them? So I already mentioned I am a single mom. I've been a single mom since 2009. My daughter is now 21. I went through empty nester almost 4 years ago. So I'm over that period of lots of emotions, and she's flying, ready to start a career next year. She's graduating college next spring. She doesn't know if she's going to move back to Colorado. So I don't have any children needing my regular care. I am divorced. I'm not actively dating. This is honestly my top priority. And I have a dog. She's great, so I take care of her. My parents are in good health. They had me when they were very young. I am 49. My parents are 68 and 69. No, I'm almost 49. So 68 and almost 69. My parents are in good health. My sisters are in good health. So I'm in good health. So that's where my family is. But I'm at a place in my life where this can be my top priority. Also, regarding my small business, if nominated, I intend to hire a contract massage therapist to take my workload, and then if elected, I will pass my business on, and this will be my full-time job. There's also been question about where I live. I currently live in Castle Rock. As an Army brat and Army veteran, growing up in an Army family, serving in the Army, I have lived in a lot of different places, including overseas. But I grew up in Aurora, and then when I ran for this seat in 2020, I lived in CD6 from 2017 to 2021. So Army people, military people, we don't really have long-term roots, but if I was going to be rooted anywhere, it's CD6. It's where I've lived the longest. I went to elementary school, middle school, and half of high school in Aurora, and I don't own a home in Castle Rock, so I have no problem moving to Aurora if elected, or moving to CD6, somewhere in CD6. And then the last thing we did was we just went over the GOP resolutions, the 2026 resolutions, and I'm just going to pull them up real quick here. So the first one, make Colorado Colorado again through election integrity. I am absolutely for voters requiring proof of citizenship and voter ID. And any of you who were part of the March Assembly, I want to take this a step further and require it for candidates running for office. Proof of citizenship, voter ID, resumes, background checks, criminal records. Let's vet the candidates before they even get on the assembly floor. So I am all for election integrity, and I've been showing it since running. I already spoke on this, affirming the alliance between the United States and the State of Israel. I already spoke that I support the Trump administration and they're joining Israel to go into Iran. This next one on Tabor, I need more education on Tabor. I am honestly for paring down the Colorado Constitution. I think it's very big and packed and doesn't really reflect the U.S. Constitution. So I am for actually making our law libraries, both in Congress and the Colorado General Assembly, smaller. There are over 500,000 pieces of legislation in congress.gov. There's over 1,000 pieces of legislation in the Colorado General Assembly. So I think more laws actually confuse us. And Tabor is a law that I was at a candidate training last Saturday, and we talked about Tabor a little bit. It's a big law. It was a long law. and I need more education on it, to be honest, before I can speak intelligently on it. The sanctity of life, I spoke on that at the beginning, so I'll just be brief. Yes, I'm for it. Human trafficking, immigration, and public safety, yes, fund the police, fund ICE, get it to stop human trafficking, illegal immigration, violence, crime. Yes, let's make our state safe again. And I learned in the meeting that there's a National Prostitute Day on June 2nd, and that to me is, I'm disgusted, quite honestly. And I think as a massage therapist, we massage therapists fight a stigma in our profession because of prostitutes and because of these massage parlors that are really giving my profession a bad name. So yeah, not for prostitution. I'm glad that bill got killed. Keep boys out of girls' sports, absolutely. Men and women are built differently. When I was in the Army, I had to work so hard. I had to work out so hard to even come close to being as physically strong as my male counterparts. I had to work out way more than them. And because my body is just not built like theirs. And I got there, I was able to contend with a lot of them, but I had to just work so much harder. And let's not do that to young girls. Let's let them compete against each other in their natural born bodies that God created, and the same thing with boys. The right to bear arms, yes, I am all about preserving the U.S. Constitution and keeping all of our rights in the U.S. Constitution. There are certain things in the Colorado Constitution, like right to abortion, repeal it. But yes, supporting the constitutional rights and parental rights. This is on my congressional website. I say, and on my issues page, I say parents are the highest authority for their children. So absolutely, parents need rights. Repeal of Wolf, I need more education on that. I don't know, and I've already spoken on this. Yes, the U.S. Constitution is the supreme law of our land. No Sharia law, no Islamic law. We have freedom of religion. So yes, that's our First Amendment, freedom of religion. So yeah, no one religion is going to take over our country. U.S. Constitution is the supreme law. All right, that pretty much recaps it. Less than 20 minutes. We met for an hour because we chatted more, but I hope this helps and gives you more of an idea about who I am and what I stand for and my desire to serve. We're also doing a candidate Q&A or candidate forum with all the candidates Wednesday evening. So if you haven't received that email, reach out to Jan Wiepert. She coordinated it. Thank you, Jan. She coordinated it. It's going to be Wednesday night, June 10th from 6 to 7. So please check your emails for that or reach out to Jan if you don't have it. All right, thank you, and I look forward to seeing you Wednesday and or Thursday.